In this video, we'll add the lighting to our virtual set, and we'll also add robot leg to our character. In our last lesson, we have analyzed this video clip by using the After Effects 3D tracker camera, and we created these tracking node objects for tracking references, and then we import those tracking data into Maya, so we have created those locators as a start point for modeling. And we also use the keylight effect to get rid of the green screen, and we use the mask to mask out the actual contents in the video. And then we imported models into Maya and placed the models to where the locator is, and we rearranged the models to make the scene look more interesting. So now we'll start with the lighting and add a robot next to the character. Alright, then you will create the plane for the wall and the ceiling and apply texture to it. Okay, and here we're going to copy the model and the texture for the oil drum, and then go to your project folder, source images, and paste it here, and you're going to bring the models here in the scene. And then you will scale it down and also bring in the lantern and create material for them and apply the textures. Okay, so now let's talk about the lighting. So to lighten your scene, so here we're going to create light, a point light. So right now, as you can see, it's located at different locations. So what I can do is I can just drop this lantern. If you hold on your mouse middle key, drop it to the oil drum group. So here is it. Here you can also parent it in a different way. So select the point light first, hold on Control or Command key to select the oil drum, and hit PK to parent them together. So this will bring it into the oil drums group. So select the point light and go to here, the channel box, and you can zero out the translation value. So that will move it to its parent object, and then you can move it up. So here is it. And then select the point light, hold on Shift key and hit PK to unparent it, and move it up, move it out. So this is the point light. Okay, and we can turn on the light. So right now it doesn't show the light in the preview window, so we can check on this button to show the light, and also check this button to show its shadow. So for this light, I want to show the yellowish color. So what I can do is double click on this point light, and I'm going to open the attribute editor, and here we can define a color. So I would like to choose the orangish yellowish color. Okay, and basically for the decay is, if you don't check it, no matter how far your object is, it will be illuminated. Okay, so let's say if you check on linear decay, as you can see, only the area that is closer to the light is going to show up. So that's your choice. What do you want to do? So I'm going to just check on linear draw off and show about maybe 20 intensity. Here we go. And I don't want it to show the shadow for this particular light, so I can just go to the shadow here and check off the shadow. Okay, it'll look a little bit weird for now, but I'm going to create the other lights. So turn off attribute editor and then go to create, and here we can create a aerial light. So here we go. So with this arrow light you have created, and then you can scale it up, and you can use the rotation tool to aim it to the stage. So here's our character, right? So we want to aim to our character. So this is the front axis. Just make sure it's pointing to your actor. So the arrow light, you can understand it like a soft box in the studio, right? So you're going to drop very soft shadow and light on your subject. And then here we can just double click to open here the intensity, and we can change it to, let's try, 1000 definitely is too high. So maybe about 300. Okay, should be good. And then let's just duplicate this one, make a duplication, and bring the duplicate object to another side. And this side, I would move it a little bit further and rotate to the other direction. So for both of these lights, let me show you. For both of these lights, you can keep their shadow on, so you don't use the retrace shadow, because for these studio lights, we want to have the shadow. We want it to cast a shadow in the scene. Okay. However, for the second light, I may go back to here, intensity, and I may change the intensity a little bit. So instead of 300, I would do 200. And also, you can change the decay if you don't want it to illuminate the whole scene. However, here I'm going to just check it on, and I kind of satisfied with the result. Okay, so that is the lighting. And if we jump back to the After Effects track cameras window, and as you can see, it doesn't update it here, so you'll have to basically full screen this window and also check on light and shadow in this scene in order to preview the lights. And as we have done before, we'll just do a play blast render, which is a draft render. We'll not do the final render, the full render. So for a draft render, this is totally enough. If you want to do full render, in any case, and you may need to adjust the light setting a little bit in order to get the best lighting result. Alright, so now if you will only use your character with the background, and you can just render this out, you can go to show and turn off locators in the window, so you will not show the locator when you do rendering. Okay, so however, here we're going to make something more interesting. As you can see, here's the actor standing here, right? So we're going to replace her neck with the robot legs. Okay, so here I'm going to go to the model, and I will drop the robot and all the textures into the source image folder. Okay, and then I will bring in the robot model. So here, if you go to the outliner, you should see here we have a mesh. We can rename it robot, and if you zoom out, you can see here's the model. So we can scale him down, and then we can hit W key for move, and then hold on V key to snap it to the character's feet. Okay, so here we can compare the height. So basically here will be our character's clothes, right? So here's the shirt and here's the neck. So what I would like to do is I'm going to scale him up a little bit to make sure the neck is under the cloth. And then I will right click on this model and go to face and delete all of the faces that is on the top body of the robot, and also I'm going to delete the faces in the center. So this is the face selection mode. And then you can go to object mode, and you can adjust the position a little bit. So basically we want this part, the thigh, to be at the same position as the locator on the clothes here. So I'm gonna move it a little bit. Okay, and okay, so this neck is good. As you can see, it stays on the locators here, but however here, what I'm going to do is go to the face selection mode and select all of the faces and move it closer. Okay, and then I would make another selection, and I would delete the top part because this will not be shown when we do final render. And maybe move it leftward a little bit. Okay, so now if you do a render and this machine neck, this robot neck, it should stay in the scene and it should drop a nice shadow, and you can render it and composite with the scene. So here we're going to turn off locator and gonna do a play plus render. So here's the setting. Now let's drop in the video to After Effects and let's select all of the no objects we created earlier, and we can hide them. Then we can drop the video, place it underneath the original footage here we have, and we can just scale it up to fulfill the screen, and we can take a look how it looks. Okay, the tracking is good. Alright, so now let's get rid of the original nag our character have. So here what I would do is I'll select this current conversation and duplicate it, and then I would change the name to mask and double click open this conversation, and for this conversation I would delete all of the no objects except the no on the character's body. So I would delete these and then show the other no objects that is on the character's body. Okay, so we'll only use these for tracking. Alright, and then what I'll do is I'll select this no and maybe a no object around the character's neck. So let's see, we'll grab that no. So that is, we can just go through these no objects. So we can select the no object 5, so I'll tag it as a yellow color, and 3 and 11. So now we can just use the 3. So we're going to move them down, bring them closer, to the character. So we're going to use that. All right. So now let's right click here and create a new solid layer. And for the solid layer, I want to create a black color solid. So internally pure black. And for this solid, I will make a 3D layer. So here we go, it's on the side. So what I'm going to do is I will create a mask for this nag at first. So we can select this no object, hit PK for position, and select its position channel, Command and CK to copy it. If you are using Windows, use Control and CK instead. And then go to this black solid and Command V to copy it, to paste it onto the channel. Oops. And then you can hit R key for rotation and you can rotate. So make sure it's aiming to the lens. And then what I'm going to do is I'll go to the first second and hide this layer, but with this layer still selected, and then I'm going to create a mask. So here I can change the preview to full so you can see the full resolution of it, and I'll use the pen tool to draw a mask. Right, and then you can show the mask and see how it looks. So you're going to follow the no object we have, okay, and let's see. Yeah, here we have a little kind of a glitchy, and you may create a keyframe at here. So go to the mask and mask path, create one keyframe in here, and maybe it comes here, and you can move these points. So you can go to the selection tool and just move the whole thing down a little bit, and maybe this point up a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. So since this is just for demonstration, I will make it a little bit rough, but if you have time, you can go to the details and make sure it matches the outline exactly. So here I can change the feather, so I will do about 20. So you're going to feather out the boundary, maybe 25 to 30, something around that, so you can see the feather. And now here we have a new gap. So this is the nag. So what I would do is I'll create a, just come here and right click and create a new solid. So this will also be a black solid, and click OK and change it to 3D layer. And then I will select this node object and go to its position, copy it and paste onto the second node object. So here we go. Alright, and then you can rotate it, make it to aim to our camera, and then I would hide this layer and use the pen tool to draw another mask, which will mask this gap. Okay, you can stop it here, and then we can just test the play and see how it looks. So it stays on the border, which is good. Yeah, so it crosses it a little bit. You can create a keyframe to adjust it, but I think it's fine. So go to the mask and mask a feather, and here I would do 25 for feather, and then I can show it. Here we go. Okay, and then for this nag, so I will mask and I'll create a new solid layer. So you're going to create another solid layer after it. Check a 3D layer, and let's see, we have used these two, and now this one. So go to this position and copy and paste it onto the third track low solid layer, sorry. And then here we can also rotate it and hide this layer, and I'm going to create the mask around the neck. Okay, so now we can just go through the whole video and see how it looks if it tracks. Here we need to change the keyframe a little bit. Okay, so we're going to come here, mask, and oops, sorry, not this one. So under mask, create a keyframe for a mask path, and then here I would switch to the selection tool and move these points a little bit, and here as you can see it start to show the nag. So it does a good job. Alright, and then feather I would do 25 as well, and then I can show this mask, this is solid layer. So you may wonder what I would do with this. So now let's delete these render clips. Make sure you are in the mask composition, alright, and then I will delete this because for this composition we'll only use it for mask. And let's see, and also I will right click here and create a solid and make a white color solid. Click on OK and just place it under the black solid. So this is the white solid. Alright, so basically this is a mask. We're going to use the mask out the nag, and however here we can see that these areas are still in white, which we don't want. Okay, so I'm going to cover it with black. So I'm going to add new solid, and I will change it to black again and make a solid layer. So this will be black solid 4. So I can hide the layer and go to the beginning and use the pen tool to draw a mask. Right, and then let's take a look if it covers the neck. And here we may need to create keyframes. So here I'm going to go to the mask feather, mask path, sorry. And then here I'm going to double click on the whole thing and move it down. And then come here, double click and move it down. Double click, move it down. Okay, so now if I show this one, you're going to cover the neck. And then if I also show the white solid, you can see that we have a very nice mask that will cover the neck as a black color. Okay, so I'm going to save this project. And then I will go to the, this final composition, and we'll drop the mask on top of your final composition here. And then I will use the matte tab. If you don't see it, just right click and column, and make sure to check on modes or switches, and you should be able to see that. So I will select this final composition layer, and I will make it as the Numa matte, as the mask layer. So this mask layer will be a Numa matte of this character layer. So now you can see that it turned off the neck because the neck was in the black color area, so it served as a mask. So now let's test the play and see how it looks. Looks great. I think I can just move the neck leftward a little bit. So here it doesn't look like it aimed to the same position. Alright, so in that scenario, you can go back to Maya. In Maya, we can go back to frame 1, and then we can select the robot and rotate. So we can use artifacts as reference. So in the beginning, as you can see, our actor is facing to this direction properly. Okay, so this should be good. And then let's full screen. As you can see, here's a actor's club, and here we get some extra space, but here's too narrowed. So I would move it toward this side a little bit, and make sure the root of the neck is at the same spot as the character's club. Okay. So make sure they stay together. And then we can go back to the render here, and make sure to deselect your object, and you can hit QK to deselect, and then it doesn't show any selection arrows. And also here, if you select the After Effects track camera, you will see this red line, and these are the keyframes. Okay, the keyframes we created in After Effects when we do track the camera. And if you go to the beginning, and let's scale in, zoom in here. So if I let it to start at -10 frame, okay, you will see that actually the first keyframe of the character start at frame 0 instead of frame 1. Okay, so when we do track camera in After Effects and we transfer the keyframe to Maya, it actually put the first keyframe on frame 0 in Maya. So that means if we want to render out this animation, we'll start with the frame 0, okay, and extend to frame 220. So now we should have the whole thing rendered. And go to Window and Play Blast, and here's the setting, and then we can do another render. Alright, once it's finished, and we can rename this clip to render 3 and bring it into After Effects. And then we'll drop it under the character. Okay, and scale it up. Here I can just put a number 130, so it should be good. And let's preview. And this is how it looks. So if you know how to animate these objects, you can even create more detailed animation for the neck, and rotate and move each of these components. However, since this course is just for compositing. So if you do want to have more kind of polished animation, you may ask the animation student for help.